Good morning. Today, I I want to share some personal thoughts with you as we are in the month of Elul. We're 10 days into Elul. A third of Elul is has already passed. Not passed completely because we're still in the 10th, but we prepare ourselves for the new year. And I would like to say that I don't know for you guys, but on a personal level, I'm going through my own journey, an interesting journey of transformation and most importantly of humility. During the month of Elul, I was thinking to myself, what is it that we really need to focus on the most? What is this month all about? We've spoken a few times already about the fact that the 13 attributes of mercy shine during this month. The king is in the field, and he looks at us, he encourages us, he looks at us with a positive eye, he welcomes every single one of us, meaning that we have access to God in a much more in a way which is much more tangible, much more close to us. But the king is in the field, and the whole concept of a field is that in order for a field to give its fruits, you need to be able to plow, you need to be able to sow, you need to be able to water the field and make a certain effort. Ha'adam etz hasadeh, man is compared to a tree. The tree has roots which are very, very deep, and then it's able to build a trunk, and then a tree that has very, very high branches, and hopefully it can give nice fruits. There is in farming a concept which is the concept of dry farming. One of my favorite examples for man. What is dry farming? Dry farming is taking a trunk, a small trunk that has very very few roots but enough to survive, and you plant it somewhere. And once it starts, the trunk starts, you let it grow a little more, and then it starts actually growing enough, and you water it, you give it, you nurture it like this, and at a certain point, once you see that the tree is solid enough, you stop giving it water. And at that moment, the tree goes into a certain distress. It doesn't know what to do. What should I do? I don't have water. I don't have an external source to be able to grow my branches, and certainly not to be able to produce fruit. So it forces itself. It starts pulling its growing roots, which are longer, which are seeking water, and they're looking for the water, and they're looking here, they're looking there, and finally it gets water and it's able to grow. But in order to grow and to become a substantial tree, to be able to nurture and to these fruits which I'm supposed to give to give, I need some more water. I need much more water than that. So then what happens is that it continues digging deeper and deeper with its roots, and then it hits literally rock bottom. At the bottom of the earth, there's water. But sometimes what separates the roots from the water is stone, and that stone is very, very solid rock. So what happens? The tree now could give up and say, you know what, this is too much for me. I can't do it. So what does it do? It decides that either I give up or I'm going to grow roots which are much stronger, much thicker, much bigger, and this is where I'm going to focus my energy on making these roots something real. And what happens? Then the roots become so strong that they're able to break through stone. And when they break the stone and they reach the source of water, something which is a quantum leap, a quantum change happens for the rest of the life of that tree. והיה כעץ שתול על פלגי מים. Just like King David says in the Tehillim. He's like that tree that is solidly anchored by the water. I don't need any other source to give me water, and because I went through that breakthrough. I think that parable, which is something real in when it comes to our lives. It comes to farming. It's a true story. It's a true practice called dry farming. It's a tremendous lesson for every single one of us. Every one of us wants to grow. And this is the month of personal growth. But in order to achieve this growth, a few things need to happen. One of them is a sense of independence, a sense of I'm not relying on someone else to be able to make me. Sorry, I'm going to have to plug my computer. Plug. There we go. Sorry. A sense of, number one, stop building your life around people, around what they will say, around what they will think, around a support system which is external to you. Make a conscious decision that you are you. And if Hashem made you the way you are, it's because there can only be one person like you. Once you make that shift in your mind, and you consciously, each time you do something, think about it twice and say, you know what? Is there any interest in me trying to show off something? Is there a desire for me to prove myself to somebody else? Prove myself to my past? Or is it just me being me? You understand that when you have two opponents, two people which are fighting, and one is trying to take off balance the other, right, in the pushing, and who is going to win? The one which is more anchored is the one that is going to win. If you're more anchored and you understand each time to go back to your core, to go back to your core value, to go back to who you are and what your divine mission is, that's what's going to make you better. Now, I understand that it might not be very appealing. It might not make a lot of noise and be very, very exciting, right? To not be acclaimed by everybody around you, and not to be appreciated because people like the glamour and they like the what makes noise and is beautiful and is outside and and is prominent, and you are just being simple you. And maybe that doesn't sound attractive to them, but who cares about them? See, during this month, there are the 13 attributes of mercy that shine upon us. These same 13 attributes of mercy are the ones which are fully revealed in their full power on the day of Yom Kippur, right? And therefore, that's when they're going to give us a clean slate, so to say. They come from a level in Kabbalah and Chassidut, which is called Keter, which is the crown of God. And therefore, from these 13 attributes, we can actually go to a depth of connection where you're going to reach the deepest part of you. But do you know what the deepest part of you is? The deepest part of you is simplicity, pshitut. And actually, in Kabbalah and Chassidut, it explains that pshita de asiya, the simple action, which is one which is a sincere action, pshita de asiya, an action done with a simple heart, magat at pshita de en self, it's able to reach the simplicity of the infinite one. So let's expound for a second on what does it mean, the 13 attributes of mercy, and why do they have such a power, and how is that relevant to us. As we go into the process of pnimiut, pnimiut is reaching our core, reaching our depth, reaching our divine image, reaching our simplicity, the simplest, purest aspect of ourselves. How does that process work? There is a verse that says that God is not in fire, He's not in wind, He is not in noise, He is in the silent, unheard voice. What does that mean? So the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, gives a beautiful parable for this. He says, if you take a log of wood and you light it up, there's something beautiful that happens. I remember when I was 14 years old, I used to be an apprentice instructor in skiing. And my favorite moment after the ski was the moment you go by the chimney and you just observe the beautiful flames, the crackling, and this interaction between the flames and the log. It was something beautiful, out of this world. Takes your mind to another place and makes you imagine beautiful things, lets you escape. There are two steps, says the Frierdiker Rebbe. The first step is that there's a fire, there's flames, and there's noise. And afterwards, the flames disappear, and then you don't see them anymore. He asks, at what point exactly is the fire the hottest? And the answer is very simple. In the first step, we're still focused on the external bark, which covers the log of wood. And therefore, there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of flames, there's a lot of excitement. At that stage, if a wind were to come, it would blow away the fire and extinguish the flames. The second step is a step where the flames have completely consumed the external. Now they're inside. If the wind of challenge comes, it actually ignites the flames. We are looking to create an inner flame. Actually, I'm sorry, we're not creating an inner flame. We are just connecting to the inner flame. Once we connect to that inner flame, our connection is a different type of connection, which means we don't need the glamour, we don't need the excitement. We could have all of it. You could have all the wealth in the world and drive the nicest cars and have the best vacations. It's not what I'm saying. But where the thought of man is, that's where he is. Our reality and existence is not what we have, is where we are in our mind. And therefore, at this time, when you connect to what's inside, at that moment, you could have it all, but you know what's important. You're not subservient, you're not a slave to it. You understand and focus on what's important. So this flame is called Helem Sheyeshno B'mtziut in Kabbalah and Chassidut. The concept of something which is hidden but existent. It's in your reach. It's possible to awaken it. But sometimes there is a hiddenness, there is a depth inside of us which is so hidden and so much deeper. And we need to reach that level as well. It's so deep that we cannot see it. It's not in our reach. So a parable of this is, again, the example of fire. Is there another element which contains fire inside of it, but in a very hidden way? Yes, the stone. If you take a stone and you bang it against something else, you can actually take out of the stone a spark and ignite a fire. So in the stone too, you have fire. What's the difference with it, with that coal which has the fire inside and the stone which has the fire inside? In the fire, it's not something which is in your reach so easily. So what happens? What's in the stone that's not in the coal? To understand this, I would like to share with you what happened the moment that Moshe Rabbeinu, turns to God and says to God, God, you know what? The Jewish people really sinned in a terrible way. They accepted upon themselves another God, basically. They said, we're going to serve a golden calf. And you wanted to erase that nation. Thank God I got you to forgive them. But give me a key. Give me some type of special formula that's going to enable me to, even when we're the most disconnected from you, to reconnect the dots together. And God tells me, God tells him, tells him the 13 attributes of mercy. Hashem, Hashem, Kel Rachum V'Chanun, God, God, the one which is merciful and graceful, etc., etc., and patient. 13. When you recite these 13 attributes of mercy, I will forgive them for everything. Okay? So God says to him in Parashat Kitisa, you can check it out. He says, I'm going to reveal my 13 attributes of mercy to you. But I want you to go benikrat atzu. I want you to go inside the rock. I want you to go in a cave inside the rock, and then my 13 attributes will be revealed to you. Chassidut asks a question. Why? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu have to go inside the rock in order to be able to perceive the 13 attributes of mercy of Hashem? Which leads us to what we said before. In the rock you have fire, but it's not in your reach. In the coal you have fire, but it's in your reach. What happens if the coal goes into water? The fire is extinguished completely. There's no longer any fire. If the stone goes into water, when it goes out of water, you're able to get the fire out of the stone. Why? Because the fire that's in the stone, on one hand, is more hidden, it's deeper, but on the other hand, nobody can extinguish it. It's completely unshakable, unmovable. You cannot take that fire away. During the time that Moshe Rabbeinu asked, God, show me that connection which still exists, even in the greatest moment of disconnect, what can I do to reconnect two things which have been broken, a rupture that was done, which is so great between you and your people, between your people and you? He says, say the 13 attributes of mercy. Oh, you want to understand where they reach? They reach deep down. In order to understand this, go into the stone. Understand that in the stone you have the spark, and that spark is untouchable. That's what's happening right now in the month of Elul. In the month of Elul, God asks us to be like that tree that we gave an example of, the dry farming, that reaches inside and is able to create roots which are much thicker, which are much stronger, which have a greater determination to have their own source of water. God asks us to burn away that layer of chitzoniut, of superficiality, that superficial layer that makes us do things and drives us for the wrong reasons. He wants us to go deeper. But even when we reach that depth, it's not enough. We need to reach even deeper inside the level which is the quintessential level of connection we have. And therefore, this month, the month of introspection, is a month where we need to really think, who am I? Ayeka. Where are you? Where are you? Who are you? What really defines you? When people speak about you, what do they say? Oh, yeah, he's the guy that drives this car. Oh, he's the guy or she's the lady that has this type of bag. Is that how you want to be defined? Oh, no, this is the person that's really dedicated to her children. This is the person that's an advocate for this and that. This is the person that is a teacher, brings inspiration. This is a person that's really is dedicated to what they do. So, on one hand, in order to be able to get to that core, we need to look back and say, what did I accomplish this year? Where did I put my effort? And effort is not only measured in time, it's measured in energy. How much energy did I put in things? What type of energy did I put in things? When I use the tone of my voice, did I use the tone of my voice in an elevated way, in an excited way, in a passionate way for positive things, just like I do when things are not going my way and I get upset? In quality and quantity, where do I invest myself? Where do I choose to invest myself? And what is the driving force? So I'm going to leave you with a few questions today. And obviously, I think it's important, the aspect of gratitude and humility. Look back at all the great things that God gave you this year. I think the mere fact that we're alive, that we're able to see, I'm going to tell you, the reason I'm not wearing my glasses today is because they got broken. I have two pairs of glasses, and Hashem made that for whatever reason, a pair of glasses that I keep got broken. And I went to New York, and whatever, something happened, and they broke. I want to tell you, at the first initial moment, I said, wow, I didn't know I was so dependent on my glasses, to be able to see, to be able to read, to study. It's essential, So I got these cheap glasses from Walgreens just to somewhat be able to read. But I said to myself, maybe Hashem is just giving me a message. I need to expand my vision and look at something a little deeper. And at the same time, give an appreciation for the fact that you can see. And really, it's such a gift. It's an incredible gift when you think about it, what we can see. So there's so many things that we have to be grateful about. I'd like to give you an exercise to write down for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, all the things that you're grateful for. And on another column, all the things that you did for God, for your family, in your personal growth. And what are you doing to reveal that true self that God intended when He created you? And just contemplate on this list. Put some nice music and meditate, contemplate on it, and thank God. Let me finish with a story. And with, of course, everything has to be done with joy. During the month of Elul, the king is in the field. This is not a depressing process, God forbid. This is a very, very happy process. One day, Rabbi Yitzchak David Grossman from Migdal HaEmek, an incredible teacher and incredible person that does incredible things for the Jewish people, was with a philanthropist at the Kotel. And there at the Kotel, there was a man, a religious man, that was saying psalms, he was saying Tehillim, and he was crying and sobbing. And they both couldn't handle the sobbing. It was so sincere, so deep. So Rabbi Grossman turned to the philanthropist and said, "You know what? If his problem is has to do with the financial problem, you'll take care of it. And if it's spiritual, I'll take care of it." The philanthropist said, "Okay." He went to the man and he said, "Why are you crying? Can I help you?" He says, "No, everything's all right." "You have a problem, a spiritual problem, something is wrong with your children?" Or this. He says, "No, everything's all right." Okay. He asked him, "Maybe you have a financial problem, you have a problem with your house or something." He says, "No, I don't need anything." So Rabbi Grossman was very, taken aback. He said, "So why are you crying so much?" He said, "Look, I have 11 children. I just finished the Sheva Brachot and the last wedding of my last child. I cannot believe by what miracle I was able to marry off all of my kids. And I have no words to thank Hashem for everything that He's done. I came to thank Him today." I think it's time when the king is in the field and God looks at us with such a smile, with such passion, such desire for us, desire for our inner selves, and desire for everything that we do. Hashem wants that we should be able to say, "You know what? Thank you. Hashem, thank you for everything." Have a great day. Bezat Hashem. God should bless all of you. Shabbat Shalom.